Hi guys. This is the hardest video that I'm ever filming. And I don't even know how to film or edit it. But I just realized that if I don't do this video, I cannot continue with my channel. I cannot continue uploading videos because it doesn't make sense. This video is very unexpected for my channel, and I know that, but it's needed. I've never been really good with showing emotions to other people, especially those negative, hurtful, sad. Whenever I would be sad and I try to talk about it or I showed those emotions to other people, they would not come across the right way. Hence why, like, later in my life, I started to really struggle to talk about my feelings, talk about my emotions and show them, and also talk about the very bad things from my life. So hence why it's also hard for me to film this video. But like I said, I don't feel like I can continue. I don't think I can continue with this channel unless I talk about the last few months, what has been happening, all the events from the last few months, because I feel like they've changed me. They've changed who I am as a person, probably forever. The way I look at life, the way I feel, the way I function, and I had been functioning for the last few months, is so different. I'm sorry. Unless I tell you what's been going on and the reality of my life and my situation right now, I don't think I can continue with this channel. It's not going to be genuine, it's not going to be real, and I don't want to act. I want to build connections with you guys. I want to open up. Maybe I can help somebody, and instead of making these meaningful videos, but I don't know anyone personally in my life who's ever struggled so much in what I'm going to be talking to you guys about. I don't know if this makes sense. Okay, but I want to make first confession. All the videos they have seen of me from the last few months had been pre-recorded. All my videos from India, from Malaysia, from Borneo, they had not been filmed, they have not been uploaded in real time. I did those travels a few months before uploading them. All these events that I'm going to be talking to you about, they happened after those videos were recorded, but I was actually editing those videos whilst my life was falling apart and whilst I was going through the most traumatic, the most difficult times in my life. And you know, those videos were kind of helping me. They were helping me to cope until the situation in my personal life got too bad. I was in the lowest point of my life when I was trying to edit those videos from India, and they were just a complete disaster. Even though those edits, just a few videos that I did, they took me ages. They're just probably the most boring videos that I have ever produced, and they didn't deserve to be. Those travels in India, I could have made such amazing content from India. Anyway, I digress so much. The point is, yes, I have a bunch of footage from India. My India trip has come to an end quite a few months ago now, but for now I'm not going to be editing or uploading any of these videos anymore because I can't make these videos in my regular high quality style. I cannot make them entertaining or informative or helpful or meaningful. They would just be pointless. There would be pointless videos on my channel that nobody wants to watch. So for now, I'm going to pause the trip to India. I want to focus more on the current situation, real time. So here is the real story of 2023. And what exactly the timeline exactly of what was happening. All I'm trying to do is wipe up my brain to not think, to not feel. But those feelings and those emotions and those thoughts, they come back. They help me every day. Every day for the last months. I cry. My eyes are constantly red. I tend to block my brain. Sorry, I'm going to lie down. Maybe it will be easier for me to talk. Sorry, I know. For the last few months, it's like I wipe out my brain. I have this coping mechanism where I just block out every emotion, every feeling, every thought, every moment from the past year. And I just pretend, I fool myself that it never happened. I pretend to people who are around me, I pretend to myself. I decided to cut off a lot of people who had known about what happened. Just because I don't want to talk about it, I can't talk about it, I could not talk about it. I could not even talk about it with myself, let alone with other people. And I just fooled myself that it never has happened. Yet, these thoughts come back, these feelings, these emotions, they come back and they come back in the most unexpected times. Like I can be standing in a queue somewhere, and all of a sudden I'll get this thought or this feeling, it will come back to me and I'll start crying. I am right now in Siem Reap in Cambodia. I only got here yesterday. Yesterday I was on the plane, and the day before, and all of a sudden on the plane I would start crying. A guy at the check-in desk looked at me really weirdly when he was checking my passport, and he kept looking into my eyes, and I was wondering why he keeps staring at me. And then I went into the bathroom to pour out the water from my water bottle because I wanted to keep the water bottle for the security. So I had to pour the water out first, and I just quickly had a glimpse at myself in the mirror, and I realized my eyes were red, like full-on red, as if I was high. Or I was not high, I was crying, and it's often I don't even realize when I cry anymore. It just happens like that. Happens every day, at different times of the day, at different moments. So hiding your emotions and feelings, you guys, I don't think it's a good way. I don't think it's a healthy way. I have a therapist now, and my therapist have told me that I'm having very weird responses to the trauma that I went through in 2023. I'm not processing my emotions correctly, and she thinks it's very dangerous because they might catch up with me, and they might catch up so intensely that I can't say out loud the words. Let's do this. I need to do it. Alright, let's do this. Maybe let's go to the bathroom. Maybe bathroom will be a better place for me to talk. Let's go, guys. I literally feel like somebody can hear me in the room. So I need to move to the bathroom to talk with you guys. Nobody even knows me here. What am I worried about? It just feels like a more closed space for me. So it feels easier to open up and to talk. So I'm going to talk right now. The last few months had not been anything but suffering for me. Anything but suffering, both physically and mentally. Anything but suffering to the point your whole body hurts. Everything hurts in and out of you that you didn't even realize could hurt you. I didn't think this feeling was possible. I didn't think it would happen. I actually finished traveling in May. May 2023, I finished traveling. I got back because I was missing my family. I was missing my family. I really wanted to spend the beautiful summery months with my family in the village, in the summer house. With my family, I mean my grandma and my granddad. So, very important thing here before I go into this story. I was raised by my grandma and my granddad. I spent all my childhood years with them. They've given me the most beautiful, most precious love, care, unconditional love that I could ever have asked for. And they were like the only people in my life that truly mattered. And they were both my parental figures. They were basically my mom and my dad, my biggest inspiration and my best friends. Me and my dad, the dad who you see in some of my sailing videos, just so you don't get confused. My dad was not in my life until I was a teenager, and we really connected later in my life when I was about 19. That's when we first started sailing together, and sailing really brought us close and connect and become really close, like supportive family. Before then, we didn't really have a strong relationship, so it was always my grandma and my granddad. So I really missed them, and I went back to see them in May 2023. I went to see them in May 23, last May. I went to see them, and my granddad came to pick me up from the train station, as he normally would, or normally he would even pick me up from the airport, but I told him, Granddad, don't worry, don't bother. I will come myself. I will get a train. He said and normally he would insist on picking me up from the airport, and even when I said no, he would still come to the airport, but this time was different. This time he actually let me come by myself by train, and he just picked me up from a train station, which, like I said, it's very unlike him, but I was happy that he was, not getting himself tired, driving in the middle of the night for a couple of hours to pick me up from the airport and then a couple of hours back to drive me back home. I was happy to get the train. And he was wearing a hat. When he came to pick me up from the train station, he was wearing a hat. I cuddled him. He smiled. He was asking me questions how my travel was, and I was so excited to tell him everything. And then we drove back home. We drove back home to my grandma, and I cuddled my grandma. And they kept asking different questions about my travels, so I kept telling them all about the beautiful places that I went to and the beautiful stories. And then after some time, my granddad decided to he took his he took his hat off. and he was bald. I immediately knew that something was really wrong, that he was sick. But my grandma, my grandma chose to, or tried to protect me, because she knew how my grandma knew that the truth could break me, I guess. She knew I was not strong enough to handle the truth, so she told me that it was not nothing serious, that they found some cancer cells in my granddad, but they were not, but he was receiving the best treatment that he could. And she said, she said that he was receiving the best treatment that he could, and he was going to make through, because the doctors said that it was a very mild form of cancer, and he was going to make it through and fight it off. But the reality was different, you guys. She just told me that to protect me. And that time they already knew. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure that at that time they both already knew that my granddad was, that his sickness was terminal. I think so. But she told me this, and it wasn't even necessarily that I blindly believed what my grandma said, not at all. What she said to me at the time was the best thing that she could have said to me, because the reality was I could not handle the truth at the time. I couldn't, I still cannot. But it wasn't even necessarily that I believed everything she said. It was just the case of I couldn't handle what was happening around me, so I convinced my brain. I believed in every little inch of me. I really believed, because I wanted to believe, and I wanted to convince myself, and I couldn't see any other option. So in every little inch of me, I convinced myself that his illness was not serious, that he was going to live, like there's no chance that my granddad was not going to make it through. And the only two people that I've ever loved unconditionally and would give my life away in a heartbeat for was my granddad and my grandma, or my granddad and my grandma. I could easily, without any inch of doubt, give my life away for them. The only people that gave me unconditional love, especially my granddad, like he would never even get offended with me. Like everything that I ever did, even if I was wrong, he loved me equally. He would never get upset. He would never. We're certain, I've always been told, and we are always certain that my granddad was going to live until around 90, because he comes from the family who all the members of his family always lived until around 1995. He's the youngest of 4 siblings who's all lived until that age. His mom also. I remember my great grandma because she lived for so long. His siblings, he was the youngest of the 4, and the age difference between him and his oldest brother was 18 years. So it's always been kind of like a known fact in my family that he was going to live until around 90, at least. And he also worked. He's 76. My granddad was 76. And he worked, and he had all the energy. He constantly had different projects going on. He was a manager on building sites. He continued to work pretty much, well, up until his illness, he was working. He was very energetic. We traveled across Europe together. We traveled to all kinds of different destinations. He worked every day. Outside of work, we took care of the summer house and the village and his other property. He was a very healthy person. And he was from this family who lived very long. So it never, ever crossed my mind that I might lose him at this point in my life. This may seem very abnormal, probably is to many people, but I'm going to tell you this confession. I know people say you should never tell other people what you wished for or what you dreamed for or what was your birthday wish or when you made a wish for some sort of occasion. You should never tell it out loud to people because it's not going to come true. So I never told anyone this thing about me. But now I can tell you guys because I already know dreams don't come true. And it's a whole big lie. Every time since I was very, 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 very little, every time I had to make a wish for any occasion, whether that was my birthday, whether I was going to drop a coin somewhere like a famous tourist attraction, any kind of occasions for which you make like a silent dream, silent wish. I had only one dream. And it may seem like a very negative dream, maybe, to you guys. But I swear to you, I've dreamed about this. I had this wish. I wished for this every single time in my head when I was making a dream, all throughout these years, all throughout my birthdays, all throughout different occasions. And that wish was for my grandma and my granddad to live longer than me, because I knew I could not handle losing them. Yeah, so that's what I wished for, and it didn't come true. So now we can talk about it, and I can tell you guys how these birthday wishes that you make don't come true. I don't know if you already know that, but I just want to warn you, don't, because I feel like I really convinced myself that it would come true, but it didn't. And it's not like I wanted to die or anything like that, not at all. It was just a matter of we were so close, and they were like the only people that mattered in my life, that I really didn't feel like I could handle losing them. So in the next few months, although my granddad's hair started to grow back, and he started to get this beautiful, kind of thick, curly grey hair all across his head, and he looked really, really adorable. And yeah, his hair really started to grow back, and he was very happy about it. We were very happy about it. He looked absolutely adorable. His health, unfortunately, kept deteriorating. There were many hospital visits as he was just not feeling well, I guess. Either his blood sugar levels were very, very high, like he had some severe diabetes, where he didn't. It was my grandma suffers with diabetes, not my granddad. But his blood sugar levels were really very high, to the point he had to go to the hospital. Whether his blood pressure was so low that he would just faint, whether it was because of a bunch of other reasons that I don't even know right now. Even though I was with him the whole time, it's sort of like I don't even remember that time exactly very well right now when I try to think back. I remember the good memories of that time really well, as if they happened yesterday, but all the bad ones, not so much. But either way, I do remember actually going to the hospital several times within the next few months with my granddad because of his poor health. He was also going to the hospital every 3 weeks or so to get this treatment called immunotherapy. Yeah, immunotherapy, I think it's like this new treatment, non-invasive treatment for cancers. And supposedly it's like this government refundable, very expensive new treatments that's supposed to naturally cure cancers or non-invasively cure cancers. He was going to that every 3 weeks. And honestly, a lot of those months, many of those months were very, very traumatic. But I would have to really think deeply about the exact situations that happened, because those situations tend to come back to me on occasion only. Sometimes I will lay in bed and I'll remember we had to go get granddad to the hospital. I also remember him being constantly in pain and almost crying with pain often, even though before he was such a strong person and he was so healthy that I don't remember him ever being in true pain, whereas during that time he was in a lot of pain and he got insomnia. All of a sudden he couldn't sleep. Back in the day, whenever he would just sit in a chair or sit on an armchair, like a comfy sofa chair, or lay in his bed, he would immediately fall asleep whenever he wanted to. But all of a sudden he developed this insomnia where he couldn't sleep without the sleeping tablets, and even the sleeping tablets would not always work for him. I could tell also that he was emotionally just very scared and very sad. Yeah, I remember him crying, seeing him crying a few times. He would play his favorite songs or organize like a little party, and then he would cry. I think he was thinking about his illness at the time and he would cry. But all in all, he suffered a lot during those few months that we were together. And seeing him suffering made me really hate on life. It made me hate on being on this planet. It made me hate on living my life. It made me hate on living my life, because what is the point? Why am I doing this? I started to question myself. Why does anyone want to do this? If ultimately your life leads to suffering, if ultimately your life leads to feeling the way he did, then I don't want to do this life. I don't want to have another yes in me if it's going to lead to that. So that's when I really started to question life. His kidneys started to fail also. I think that was one of the big reasons why he started going to the hospitals frequently, because his kidneys started to fail. I really wanted to give him my kidney, or my kidneys. He could take them both if he wanted to. Like, if he would take them, and if the doctors would take them, I would be more than happy to give both of them away, but at least one, So he has a healthy kidney. By the way, just so you know, so this video is a little informative. not just purely emotional. His kidneys were always very healthy, very well functioning. He was, like I said, a very healthy person. The thing that destroyed his kidneys was chemo. It was chemotherapy that destroyed his kidneys. Before chemo, his kidneys were in perfect, like, book condition, you know, like the perfect medical condition. Like, there was nothing wrong with his kidneys whatsoever. But then he had chemo and his kidneys started to fail. So then I wanted to give him my kidney, but nobody would take me seriously. And that was very hurtful. Looking back, he was probably so sick that, but I didn't know about it, so I was not really aware of it at the time. Even though the signs were there, I was not aware of how sick he was. That it's highly, highly, highly unlikely that the doctors would even take my kidney. But at the time, I could give him each and every organ to save him. Each and every part of me he could have, and I would be the happiest girl in the world. If that would mean he would get to live a few years longer without suffering. But then things have changed. In August, he started to feel better. It felt like I got my old granddad back. We spent nearly the whole of August in our favorite, most loved place, the summer house. The summer house that my granddad built for us when I was little. I think I was about 3 years old when he started to build the house, the summer house. It was always my happy place. It was the place from which I have the best memories of my life from. The best childhood memories, the best teenage memories. It was the happiest place for me, and I think it really impacted. It really made who I am today, because it was a very remote place in the forest by the river, in nature, with virtually no people. And because I had my happiest memories with my granddad and my grandma and the summer house and the dogs and the cats and all the animals there, the deers and whatnot, I think it really impacted who I am today, and that's why I chose to travel to very remote destinations, why I base my travel choices on animals and nature, and why I don't like the cities, but I love villages and very rural destinations. I think it's all to do with my summer house and the memories that me and my granddad and my grandma created there. So we actually went to live in the house, in the summer house, for like a whole month. And it felt like I got my old granddad back and my old life back and the happiness back. Between May and August, I became very depressed. As I said, I started to not see any point in life and living life. I hated life. I was only living it and being strong for my grandma and my granddad, but seeing him suffer made me hate life, like really hate life. But yes, once he started to feel better and we went to live in the summer house, and I smile when I talk about this, and my therapist said it's a very weird response, by the way, to loss and to trauma. But I smile when I think about the good memories, not the bad ones, of course. For that 1 month, we were going fishing every day. My granddad loves to fish. Our summer house, as I said, was based to a beautiful river in nature. It was August, the most beautiful time of the year for that region of the world. We would fish every day, we would play music every night, we would have little parties. Sometimes you would dance a little, and then we would grill the fish that we caught. And we spent a lot of time by the river, and like I said, just partying, going. We also went to a few local parties that they had, a few local concerts that they had in the villages nearby, because my summer house is not based in a village. it's based in a rural place. It would not be considered a village, but there were villages a few kilometers away, and he was still driving, like he was driving his car. There's no problems there. It really felt like he was getting well again and healthy again, and I was having the most happy time of my life. I feel like that August. It was so weird because he went from all this trauma and stress and suffering to then all of a sudden pure happiness. And at that point, once again, I believed in every inch of me that he was going to be healthy. In September, we went fishing again. But this time was different. Yeah, we went fishing again sometime in September, but that time was different because as my granddad was doing something with a fishing rod, or maybe it was not even a fishing rod, but some sort of equipment, he just fell. But it was not a normal falling where you trip or like people typically fall, where you trip, or even when you faint and you kind of just fall over to the side. It was not really like that. It was face to the ground. It sounds, I don't know if I should even be telling you this, I really don't know. Yeah, he fell and he was fine. He did not faint. He was still conscious. He kind of stood straight back up when I helped to like get him up, and he got up and he claimed he was fine, but it just seeing him fall like this, it was very scary, and didn't seem like he hurt himself. We were by the river and it was very muddy, so maybe the mud protected him, but it made me very worried. All until this point, he was weak, yes, but there was not really any signs, at least not in August, that something really bad was happening, but maybe I was just blind to those signs because I didn't want to see them. I don't know. So I think we didn't continue to fish. I think we went straight back to the summer house. I think, yeah, we walked. And then we were trying to figure out the cause of his falling. And it turned out it was extremely low blood pressure. His blood pressure was dangerously low, actually. I remember seeing the number, thinking, God, like I struggle with low blood pressure, often around 85, like the top one is often around 85. So my blood pressure is really low. His was like half of that, or nearly half of that. And I remember when I Googled it, I remember it saying that somebody could die from having such low blood pressure. So that's when I said that I'll drive him to the hospital. We tried, me and my grandma, like I remember us trying to convince my granddad, but he refused. And at the same time, I do think that everyone deserves to have a will, that everyone deserves to live the life the way they want to, and nobody should be forced to do things that they didn't want to. My granddad really didn't want to go to the hospital at the time. I could tell that he really enjoyed the time away from the hospitals so much. And he was traumatized by hospitals. I don't think he really didn't want to go to the hospital. And it was not my place to force him to do so. Yeah, so we were just giving him black coffee and that helped. I can't remember if this was the next day or a few days later. Genuinely, I don't know. I can't remember, and I'm not going to try to work it out. we decided to go to the village. So my granddad, by the way, he's the most successful person I've ever known in my family. And him and my grandma in total have 3 properties. One is a flat in the city, the other one is a house in the village, a farmhouse in the village, and another one is a summer house. 2 summer houses in one property. He wanted to go to the village house, and then he and my grandma asked me to stop at the supermarket to do some shopping before we go to the village. And because he was not feeling well, we asked him to stay in the car, but my granddad is very stubborn and he always thought of himself as like a strong, independent person, so he decided to come with us anyway. And then my grandma was already inside the shop. I was going next, and then my granddad straight after me. I looked back at my granddad, and he just started falling. And I quickly ran and grabbed him, and he didn't fall. It was the same type of fall that happened to him in the river, like next to the river, I mean. The only difference is I managed to catch him this time, and thank God I did, because there was like a concrete pavement right underneath us. But yeah, I managed to catch him. He didn't fall. Can't remember exactly what happened straight after, but the next thing I do remember is going back to the summer house to do the renovations, to do the painting, to paint over wooden verandas, to do the different renovations. So we went back to the summer house, and then my granddad was supposed to stay with me, but he decided against it because he said he was not feeling well. He said maybe he will need to go to the doctors the next day because he doesn't know how he's feeling. So he decided to go with my granddad to the city, to his best city flat, and leave me in the summer house. The plan was for my granddad to stay with me, but because he was not feeling so great and he thought he might need to go to the doctors perhaps, they went. I've used this time to be very effective with the work that I was doing when it comes to the renovations. I spent all this time being alone doing the work on the summer houses, the sanding and the painting and just a bunch of manual work, so that when he comes back he'll to see a smile on his face. I loved to see him being proud of me and smiling. It was the best feeling in the world for me, to see him proud of me, to see him happy, to see him smiling. It's like the one thing I've always dreamt of is to see that look on his face, because it was so pure, it was so genuine. He loved me so much, you guys. Anything I would do, he was so grateful for it and he was so happy for it. So I've put all the energy and effort into renovating these properties, and I was expecting to see him the next day, him and my grandma, right? Wait, I think I'm getting very sickly. I need to drink some water. One sec. Yeah, I was expecting to see him the next day, him and my grandma, but then my grandma said she had like an eye appointment about cataract on her eye, and then I stopped hearing from them for a while. Yeah, I stopped hearing from them for a while, which was unusual, but it was not like a long while. In the next 24 to 32 hours, my grandma would send me texts saying, oh, Granddad has gone to the hospital to get his new dose of this immunotherapy. Then it was kind of odd. I thought it was odd because when I asked, did my uncle come with him, did he drive him all the way to that city, because it was not in the same city, it was in a city further away, my grandma was like, oh no, he went alone. he went alone, which I thought was very odd since, he was kind of feeling very weak with his blood pressure in the last few days. So I just didn't think they would let him go alone. But the truth is, it's not like they let him go alone. It's not like he went to his next immunotherapy appointment. It's not like he has made it to the next immunotherapy appointment. I remember feeling quite proud about all the work that I did, and I remember feeling, gosh, I cannot wait for my granddad to see all these renovations that I had made in the summer house. I really thought, oh, he's going to be so proud when he comes back. And then my grandma and my uncle came to the summer house. This video is already very long, but I just want to talk to you about a few things that went on with me afterwards. As I believe I cannot tell this story without telling you guys how I coped or not coped at all. I could not cope with hearing what my grandma wanted to say to me. I've immediately, when I could tell that something was wrong, I asked her not to say anything to me. I asked her, don't say anything to me. Please, I beg you, don't say anything to me. And she didn't. I then went on to immediately deleting my Facebook and Instagram from my phone, logging out of my laptop, putting my phone in an airplane mode. I kept my accounts blocked for several months after that. I used YouTube. I didn't use any of the other social media accounts. I didn't use Facebook. I didn't use Instagram. I don't know who follows my YouTube, to be honest. I have no idea whether any of the people I know in real life do. They might not. I don't know. It doesn't bother me because it's not the platform where anyone ever has commented on who knows me in real life. I was admitted to a psychiatrist. All I wanted to do was die. Yeah, I was admitted to the psychiatrist. I was put on a bunch of medication that stopped me feel or think I want to kill myself. Sounds very dramatic, I'm so sorry. This is so unlike me to post something like this. But I went from being the happiest person in the world, traveling, and then going back to the summer house to spend a few months with my grandma and my granddad and living the paradise life, and being in the Philippines, loving my life and the locals, and being in Borneo, my dream country, and living my life to the fullest, to then literally just wanting to die. It's not like I had those thoughts before, you guys. It's not like I was depressed before. It's not like I was traumatized before. It's not like I struggled with panic attacks when I was traveling, or sadness, or depression, or suicidal thoughts when I was traveling. Not at all. I was the happiest girl in the world. Also in August, I was the happiest girl in the world, living with my granddad in the summer house. But everything switched 180 degrees, and my life stopped to matter. I didn't want this life anymore. I wanted to do everything to stop it. I didn't see the point of it. I still struggle to see the point of living life. But this happened in September, and now we are in February. So quite a bit of time has gone past since then. On top of that, I also started psychotherapy, weekly psychotherapy sessions. With the greatest therapist. She's lovely. She really wanted to help me. She still wants to help me. For the most part, I've been blocking out these emotions. So even with my therapist, after the initial few sessions, I decided to stop talking about what happened because I just couldn't handle it anymore. The only way I was able to cope is with pills and with convincing myself that nothing has ever happened. I was also distracting myself by editing some videos for YouTube. So then I would think of all the good memories and kind of live in the past when things were better, as opposed to in the present where things were just absolutely terrible. I was put on a lot of pills, but at the time, if I was not put on these pills, I would either end up in a mental hospital or I would be dead. And that's the truth. Not everyone in my situation would be fortunate enough to have the family who would immediately make an appointment with a psychiatrist, who would immediately make an appointment with a psychotherapist. I was, yet that still doesn't seem to be enough, because I'm still struggling so much with my life. Mid-February, I started to travel again. Actually, I'm filming this video around when, I think it's 19th of February today. I have no idea when and if this video will ever go live. But I'm filming this video on the 19th of February. I started traveling from the 16th. Before then, I suffered each and every day, both physically and mentally. I could not walk up the stairs, I could not sleep. I would wake up with very severe heart pain and palpitations, and just like a really, really, really bad pain around my heart area. And when I called in to make an appointment with a GP in the UK, they said to me that I have to go to the hospital. So I did. They did some checks on my heart. They found my heartbeat to be unnaturally fast and uneven. However, they said it's anxiety related, because they could not see any other health conditions in me. You know, they did a lot of blood tests, they did x-rays, they did scans. They wanted to see if I don't have any clots or any, I don't know, I guess with blood tests something could come up, but nothing did. And they said it's very weird what I'm going through, and it's probably anxiety related, because they couldn't find any other conditions in me. I lost the ability to sleep. I literally was not able to sleep ever anymore. I would have sleepless nights every night. I would take sleeping pills and they would maybe work like a couple of hours, and then I would wake up with a panic attack. So I decided, hey, I'm already doing medically maybe not everything I could be doing, you know, I could be seeking other things, but what's legal in my country I'm already doing. I was not doing anything illegal. I was just doing like a genuinely, like I would tell you if I was, but I wasn't. I was only doing the legal things, going to the psychiatrist and psychotherapist, and that was not enough. That was not helping me enough for me to feel healthy, to live normal life without suffering every single day. Oh, I want to mention my grandma in here because she's been such a trooper. I feel so awful that I'm not being able to support her for any of this. She was actually been the one supporting me, even though I know she has it. It's so difficult for her. It's really not easy, and I love my grandma to bits. I think she's doing an amazing job. And she really stepped in. She was the strong one. She was the one helping me, not the other way around. I'm ashamed to admit it. So here we are. We are now in Cambodia, in Siem Reap. The way I've managed to cope with all the situations from the last few months had been by denial. Yeah, I'm able to go out, I'm able to travel, I'm able to have fun. Well, have fun, not really. That's a really weird way to put it. I went socializing yesterday for the first time. Not drinking, I don't drink right now. I didn't party, but I went socializing with a couch surfing group here in Cambodia in Siem Reap yesterday. And I felt normal. after not socializing for so many months and not seeing anyone, with an exception of my grandma and my uncle, it's actually been rather weird that I'm able to just go back straight into socializing. But I think because I've changed the environment, it's just, I'm able to block things off. But as I said, it's a very temporary solution because these things come back. They usually come back at night, sometimes randomly in the day. Yeah. And why I thought it was so important to talk about it is because I want to pause on my travel series from India. Like I said, I might come back to it, but I want to pause on it for now. I want to focus on doing real-time videos. Hopefully I will do some videos from Cambodia. I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing those. I am going to go back to the Philippines very soon. I'm going to see Rose again. I know a lot of you guys came to my channel from the Philippines, and I hope I can show you more videos from this wonderful country, and I cannot wait to see my best friend Rose and Peter and the family, and just have more adventures in the Philippines. I cannot wait for that. So that will be coming in shortly. But before then, I don't want you guys to just see travel videos from me without knowing me, without me telling you story, without me telling you my struggles. I really hope this trip can save me in a sense. But I also really hope this trip can make me connect with you more, can make maybe turn my experiences into something, I don't know if positive is the right word, but into something beneficial to somebody else out there. Maybe anyone who can relate to me, or anyone who's been going through something else in their life may not feel so alone. And yeah, I think it's the time to be more real, to honest, to be more genuine, and to be more me. I'm still going to try to make a bunch of videos about travel tips, travel vlogs. Let me actually guys know what would you like to see from me. I would be very happy to hear from you and see what kind of content you would prefer to see from me. Whether that will be more personal videos, more travel vlogs, or more travel tips and advice style videos. I'm hoping to do a bit of everything. But for now, yeah, I am planning to make some videos from Cambodia. Yeah, I've been here long enough. I don't want to make this video any longer. I hope I haven't said anything that could be triggering or offensive to anyone else. This is just my story, my life. I love you guys. Thank you for giving me this platform, for allowing me to even help me deal with something without you realizing. Because really, when I was editing and uploading those travel videos, YouTube really, really, really helped me through some of the darkest times of my life. So thank you. And also my granddad, he was so proud of my channel. He would always show it off to his friends, even though I didn't like it because I was quite embarrassed of him showing my videos to his friends. I kind of don't feel like my videos are very good, a lot of them, so I would get very embarrassed, but he would still show them off and be very proud and always speak so highly of me. So I also want to continue to do this channel for him, because I know he loved this channel. He would be so happy to see me continue doing what I was doing and make it even bigger and make it even better in the future. So Granddad, this is for you. I love you. I miss you very, very much. Until we see again.